Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to replace some problematic coolant lines on this Nissan Frontier. This also applies to the Xterra and Pathfinder, which has the 4.0 engine in it. Now you may see in this video that the lines have already been replaced. That's because for whatever reason back in August of 2023 I didn't create an intro, or I lost the intro when I was redoing my PC around Christmas time. So anyhow, I'm going to show you what parts are on here that are going to be replaced, and then we'll get into the how to replace them. All right, there are two main problems with the heater core lines on this 4.0 engine. That left hand side and then the right hand side. Those two lines come with plastic fittings from the manufacturer, and they will crack and they will start to leak. As you can see, I've already replaced those. This one here I've already replaced prior, and then in the video I'm going to show you how to replace that one. I'm also going to replace another one as well. There's a little tiny rubber hose down there that can leak, that runs into the bottom of the reservoir there. You can't just buy that hose. Now you could go to an auto parts store and buy a segment of a hose like that. However, I just bought the hose section. I'm going to show you how to replace the hose section. It runs down by the reservoir underneath this relay fuse box, comes up here and connects over to this connection as well. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to replace those lines. So let's get started. This is the part that I purchased. That is the OEM part number. It really is this whole pipe piece. I really only need this section here, but since I have the whole part, I'm just going to throw it on the vehicle. To get started, I'm going to remove the battery, and then we're going to go ahead and empty the reservoir, and then we're going to dig down into the bottom and start to remove the pipe off this reservoir. There is a bolt down here and a bolt up here for this reservoir. You'll want to remove the hose back to the radiator. And you'll want to remove this plastic push pin. And then the hard part is getting down to where that clip is so that I can remove this reservoir. Having a little bit of hard time of getting that hose off down there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this bolt on this bracket down here. This will allow me to slide the reservoir tank out a little bit more because it's hitting on that bracket. All right, Finally got her. Let me show you this. Way down in there, there's a plastic clip down there that this pipe has to come off of. And so there's not a lot of room down there unless you start taking some of this electrical components off and whatnot. But I'm going to try to see if I can manage to do all of that without, you know, having to disassemble everything. There seems to be a bracket or something holding it on from the underside here. So I'm going to try to work this around a little bit more to see if I can pull that whole assembly off. And this is what is happening under there. All right, I'm going to show you what I found out here. You can't just remove this hose for the reservoir that goes underneath this relay box and back here. What you end up having to do is to do it from the underside of the wheel well. Here's what I'm going to show you. On this particular model, there's a bolt to loosen this bracket, so you can pull this up out of the way and move that to the side. Then you have a bolt right down here you can loosen, and then you have this metal bracket. Let's see if I can get some light in there. You have this metal, oops. You have that metal bracket right there. Well, unfortunately, you can't move this metal bracket here because under the underside there is this bolt head right there, and its nut is in the wheel well. So what I ended up doing is having to take off the wheel, and up here is where that nut needs to be removed. Now I've also noticed I can get access to this clamp back here. So what I'm going to end up doing is taking off this clamp and then letting the coolant drain out. That will just give me access just to the metal pipe. It will be a little bit easier to work with. Now I should be able to go ahead and remove this bracket, which covers up another bolt. And that is what I was talking about. That secondary bolt right down there. Let's see how much of movement we have in this box. Okay, we have quite a bit more. Now the trick here is to get this pipe out. I don't know if I have enough room or not in order to do that, but we'll see. Alright, and that did come out. So, don't necessarily have to remove this fuse box. However, it would be a lot easier, but just removing the the one bracket and the two bolts there gave me enough room. Now I have to go fish this other one in. Okay, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to lift the front of this fuse box here, and then I'm going to shove this pipe under it, see what happens. What I want to do is I want to keep this hose on, because getting down to make those clamps and set that connection up really is difficult down there because there's not a lot of room. So. Ah, look at that. All right, so that worked. Now what I'll end up doing is from the underside, I will go ahead and install the other tube here. Just kind of shove that down there somewhere. Now to point out, there are two plastic clamps that aluminum hose goes on. And there's one right here and one right there. I'll show you one of those. Down in here, right there is that plastic clamp. And that snaps right in there. Now the other one I can't see, but I'm gonna have to feel around up there and make sure that snaps in under the wheel well. All right, and I got that snapped in there. The other thing that you want to make sure is that clamp here is not towards the wiring harness on this side. So you want to make sure you keep all the rough edges away from this harness. All right, that was a little bit more of a pain in the butt than what I was originally thinking. But however, you can see what it takes to go ahead and put on that whole new hose. This is the next coolant line that goes on. And of course, the reason why I'm replacing this is that this one is aluminum. The other one that's coming off is plastic. There are 2 bolts. Actually, there's 2 nuts. There's one right there. And then there is one behind here, the wiring harness here, that need to come off. There, finally got it. What seemed to work was just a simple ratchet like this, but there's just not enough movement back there because you're up against that wiring harness. Now I'm going to go tackle the hose and the clamp coming off the old one. I'm just going to have to cut that. Okay, what I was trying to do here is to not lose a bunch of coolant. I was trying to make sure I pulled off the old hose, kept as much coolant in the engine as much as possible. So that was all that mess. Wrapping up this video of the coolant hoses that were changed out, I just want to say that this did take a little bit longer than what I had anticipated. Ran into a couple trouble spots. And also, I'm not a particular fan of coolant. It just gets everywhere and makes a mess. As you saw in the video, this coolant line that connects to the bottom of this reservoir runs under here. Getting these boxes loose and getting a little bit more space in there was a challenge. Also back here, there's that nut that holds on the coolant line. And that nut is right in front of a wiring harness attachment. It does appear that there is enough room back there, but I had some problems getting the right socket on there, and a right socket and adapter on that. The last thing that I ended up doing was make sure that the coolant was put back that I had removed, and so all that I did was fill up the radiator and then also fill up above the full mark by about 1 inch. And then I pretty much took it out and I drove it. And as I have said, that when you're driving it, all of the air, because it's a closed system, will come back here into the reservoir, and it will be discharged because you have the pressure release valve here. So if this is working, you shouldn't have any reason why you have to do a major burp to it. But I just wanted to point that out, that it's fairly easy to do. Getting this set back up, I didn't make any more of a mess than just removing the hoses. So anyhow, if you like this video, go ahead and give me a like, better yet subscribe, and you get the latest notifications when new videos come out. Hey, I want to thank you all that have already subscribed. Thanks for supporting the channel, and we'll see you back here in the next video.